Hi folks, welcome back. This is just a brief overview of the second essay, the Rhetorical Analysis. And it's a very important assignment. It's one that you'll probably get, in almost any English 191 class. And basically what it consists of is analyzing something from a rhetorical perspective. That is, what makes it persuasive? What strategies are the authors or directors using to try to make this, whatever they're advertising, more appealing to the intended audience? Now, for our purposes, we'll be looking at a very specific type of rhetorical artifact, namely the presidential television commercials, going all the way back as far as you want. The website that I've selected for this project is called the Living Room Candidate, and they have the presidential TV commercials going all the way back to, I believe, Eisenhower. So the very earliest use of television to help sell these presidents and to get votes. Now, you can choose any commercial that you want. You could use one of the ones from the Eisenhower period, or Ronald Reagan, the 80s. You could look at Clinton's in the 90s. Really, it doesn't matter to me. Just pick one that interests you. Now, the reason I like that website too is it'll give you some background information, some context of what was going on at the time, and that'll help you out. It'll make this project a lot easier for you. Now, once you've got your ad selected, you're going to be describing the ad. So don't treat the reader like he or she's already seen the commercial. So what you want to do is talk about what's on the screen, what kind of music's playing. Basically just describe it as though the reader had never seen it before. So after you've done that, you'll be trying to determine who is the intended audience for the piece. I'll talk more about that in a second. Also, the types of appeals that are being used. Now, you remember in the rhetoric lecture, we talked about ethos, credibility. We talked about pathos, emotional appeals, and then logos, which is a rational, logical type appeal. So see if the ad has any of that. Also, the Understanding Rhetoric book points out two other things to look for. Kairos, which is kind of a sense of timing. So you can see, was there anything going on at the era during the time that the election was taking place that the commercial makes a reference to? Is there something particularly timely about that ad or something in the ad? That'd be Kairos. And then also you can look at identification. So how is the commercial trying to identify the audience? Okay, so that's the identification part. And then the last piece is evaluation. So you're trying to determine whether or not the ad was effective. Whatever the goals that it set for itself, was it effective? Now, that's not the same as to say, did the candidate win the election? Or did the commercial win votes? There's no way to really know that. You can't say that a commercial caused somebody to win. There's too many other things that could account for it. So don't even worry. It doesn't really matter for our purposes if the politician won or not. It doesn't really matter. The only thing we'll be looking at is the commercial itself and asking ourselves, was it a well put together commercial? Was it rhetorically savvy? Were they, did they do everything right as far as those ethos, logos, pathos, and so on are concerned? Okay, about the audience, this is probably the hardest part for students because they always want to say that it's intended for everybody. And really, that's just not the case. The politicians, they put a lot of thought into these ads and they do a lot of research. They go out and they survey people, they do case studies. I mean, this is really sophisticated stuff. And they really target these things at a very specific audience. If you're not sure, you need to look at the ad again and look at the things that they put on the screen, the type of music that plays. If they show somebody hunting, for example, that might be an appeal. Might clue you in on the fact that they're targeting NRA members, people that support guns. If they show you a very, very traditional looking family gathered around a table, Thanksgiving or whatever, they're kind of appealing to conservatives with that sort of a thing. They're not going to probably come right out and say it, yes, we're appealing to liberal Democrats or something like that. So you just kind of have to look between the lines there and see if you can figure it out. Same thing with environmentally conscious voters. They might show sort of nature, a stream, a fish, whatever, and that's kind of appealing to those people that care about the environment. So that's the audience. The readings for this piece, I've already mentioned Understanding Rhetoric has a pretty nice chapter on this, really explains it clearly. The Husky's Right also has a little handout on it. Also, don't forget you can go to the Right Place. That's free service. They can set you up with some handouts about doing a rhetorical analysis, as well as go through the draft with you or help you make an outline for it. If you're confused at all, that would be my #1 place to go. Go to the right place, get help. You'll really enjoy that. Other tips for this project, or maybe I should back up a little bit. So it needs to be at least 1,000 words, and you need to have at least 3 sources for this. Now, one of the sources will be the commercial itself. So one you don't really have to worry about. The other 2, though, these are secondary sources that you need to use basically for the rhetorical part. So you could use understanding rhetoric as one of your sources, but then you'll probably need at least one other source. You can find those using the library database. I would also recommend that you go to the library or use the Ask a Librarian tool and see if you can find a book on presidential campaigns or rhetoric, from political rhetoric, that sort of thing. There's many of those in the library. Don't really care which one you use, as long as it looks like you've put some thought into finding a good source to help you with the paper. All right, so that's about all I've got for this. If you do have questions about the assignment, please ask them. You can do that here on YouTube or on the Canvas website. Anyway, good luck with the assignment.